It's the Score North Twin Show.
All right, Score North Twin Show. Royce is back. Willie is back. Coach Trev is back, but we lost a Mackey. We did lose a Phil, but it's okay. Spot start. He's taking a little maintenance day. I mean, he's traveling. Trev, I'm not gonna be too far from you. I'm going to San Diego. I leave here in like 4 or 5 hours.
Oh, what are you going there for?
We have a wedding. So we have my wife's in a wedding. It's a Thursday wedding too, by the way. Thursday wedding. In San Juan Capistrano, I think is where it is.
That's a little north of San Diego. It's more like Orange County.
Okay, yeah. So we land like at 8 p.m. San Diego time. I have a rental car. We're driving up to San Juan Capistrano. Okay. We're there through Friday, and then we're going to drive back into the city in San Diego, spend the night Friday night, leave back home for Saturday is the plan.
Okay.
Very excited.
If you need some recommendations, let me know. I'm not super versed in San Diego stuff, but I got some spots out there.
Yeah, I went there once when I was like 16 for spring break. But like because we're close to the Long Beach, people keep saying like you should probably like go see Long Beach if you're already up by San Juan Capistrano area.
Why do you want to go see Long Beach?
I don't know. People keep telling me. I've asked people, and they don't go.
California guys like no.
Shout out Long Beach, but what are you gonna go do there?
People keep telling me to go there. Should I not go? So I shouldn't go there.
No, I would. No, I'd stay down San Diego.
Politically correct
northern San Diego. La Jolla is great. There's some great spots there.
La Jolla is beautiful.
Heck yeah. Okay.
Yeah, Long Beach. Who's telling you that?
People that live in from the California area.
I don't know about that. Okay.
I'll keep it quiet. It might be someone who also is affiliated with Twins coverage. I'll just leave it at that. I'll leave it at that.
What's even in Long Beach, Trev?
Port.
Yeah.
There's a
port.
But
I mean, there's I've never heard anyone.
I don't think it's a bad place.
No,
it's a great place, but not like if you're gonna go visit California, I wouldn't say start in Long Beach.
I'd say going back to San Diego is your best play, right?
Probably, yeah.
And I know it's kind of like more north, but and it's more out of the way, but like Laguna Beach, right? Like we're almost halfway to Laguna, aren't we? From between like San Diego and San Juan. I think like we're kind of near Laguna
I think
Beach.
you're pretty close there.
Yeah.
But again, like Laguna's all right. Like it's nice, but you can just San Diego has everything, and you get closer to the airport. You guys are flying out of San Diego. Just go back to San Diego.
Okay. There we go. Problem solved. My wife is on her way home. I'll let her know we're not doing Long Beach. Actually, she'll very much appreciate your advice on that, so works out even better. Hey, a quick shout out to our friends at Underdog. Ride higher. If Long Beach is on there, go lower, but if it's San Diego, ride higher on Underdog. Promo code SCORE, SKOR, still gets you a deposit match. Hell, the extender's also starting on Underdog for the Wolves and Warriors series, so there's a new profit bonus every single game of that series. Maybe it's 5 games again. Maybe it goes 7. But you'll have a new bonus for each game of that series and any new game that starts in the NBA playoffs. So promo code SCORE at Underdog to get going. All right, Trev. So Royce coming back, Willie back. They've optioned Edouard Julien. They've optioned Mickey Gasper. I think we've had this episode 3 or 4 times through the course of the first 6 weeks, but can Royce Lewis and Willie Castro, can their additions to the lineup help maybe save this Twins season, and most importantly, save the offense, man? The pitching's been great. They need their offense to start stringing together more consistent at-bats.
Yeah, I mean, we need superstar Royce Lewis. That's what we need, 100%. If he comes back and does what he can do, I think obviously Willie and the versatility, speed, all the things that he can do creates a longer lineup, but it does – 2 things need to happen. Royce needs to come play like a superstar, and Carlos Correa needs to figure something out offensively and start to – it doesn't have to be – he doesn't have to be what Royce Lewis has to be, but he just needs to be better. I think if that happens and you start to look at that lineup and you start to see, okay, the Twins, when healthy and people are performing to the back of their baseball cards, essentially, like that's a pretty good lineup. Mm-hmm. They haven't performed that way and they haven't been healthy. I guess we've been kind of saying if they can be healthy, if they can do that for a couple of years now. But Royce, like, he brings that optimism, even to maybe the biggest naysayers. Like, what he can do. I guess you can point back to last year, and he ended poorly last year. There's no doubt about it. He said, "I don't slump," then he slumped. That's baseball. It's very difficult. But I think the kind of player that he can be offensively and the spark that he can be be. Really, it's just about winning series, man. Like you don't have to go on a 12-game run. Like you just stack the series wins. You're right. The pitching staff's been great. Like he can be the difference maker. Yes, he can.
What's your confidence that he can, most importantly, probably Trev, stay healthy, and B, that he can step in and be that guy again? Like we've seen it, but we've also seen him slump. I will say this a little bit in his defense. It's a lot to put on a guy's shoulders to say, okay, you're back now. We should be fine. So what's your gut tell you, or what's your confidence that he can accomplish those things?
I think initially, he's going to do it. That's just the kind of guy he is. Like he feeds off of that adrenaline that he's going to get from playing in the big leagues again. And that can be contagious to other guys. It can be contagious to Correa playing right next to him. It's going to be, he's going to have to try to figure that out for a full season, because that does dissipate. That initial adrenaline bump that you get from when you come back from an injury or your first game, like that's there. And then, the dog days happen and you have to find a way to get yourself going. He has a type of personality that seems like he can show up every day and be a happy-go-lucky, I'm going to just be the best player on the field type of guy, but you got to be able to do it. It's easier said than done. Those guys are few and far between that can just have that attitude straight through the season. If he can keep that, then he's got a chance. I think that's going to be the most difficult thing for Royce, is when he finally settles into a season.
Right.
And it's like, okay, like it's a Tuesday night game. And like, how do you prepare for those? That'll tell you, or that's going to be the difference between a good player and a great player. If you can just find a way to get up for that.
Yeah, it feels like, because the last taste we have is he had a horrible end of the season over the last 30 games. He has another injury that, robs him of 6 weeks of the season. But there's more evidence to suggest that when he's been in the lineup, he's a huge difference maker, right? The postseason success and the big-time home run. So, but I think, Trev, to your grander point is he's probably going to come in and have maybe a great start, but can he sustain it, and can he also not let a slump, which is inevitable? Like you're not going to be batting 330 for the entire season. We don't think. How do you adjust to that, right? Like how does he deal with getting out of a slump, or not maybe taking too much of the pressure on his shoulders and feeling like he has to deliver every single night?
Yeah, I'm not like a horse race or a dog race guys, but there was one time I went to a dog track. This is in Beloit, Wisconsin. So whatever, it was like outside of Beloit, Wisconsin. I think we were even like, there was no races there. We were watching them like on TV at the track. Were you
playing for the Snappers?
I was playing for the
Snappers. I love that. Great hat. I love that.
This one guy was there. He's like helping us put in bets. I'd never done it before. And he started to tell me there are dogs who would like to be out in front, and then there are dogs that like to chase. And I'm like, okay, how do you tell the difference? He tried to explain it to me. I think that's one thing that works. If we're talking about Royce and being motivated and continuing that and having that spark, I think the Twins being where they're at in the standings can be that spark, like a little bit at a time, gaining ground until you play that series against the Tigers and you have a chance to gain even more ground. Like I think where they're at in the standings and the fact that I think they've underperformed. Some people will say this is who this team is. I think they've underperformed. I think where they're at now adds to that motivation and can add to that drive. And dude, winning cures everything. It really, really does. Anything that's going on in the clubhouse, a lingering health issue, whatever it is, like if you're winning and playing good ball, those things kind of fade into the distance. So I guess that's all it takes. Just stack those series wins and he could. Maybe I'm the eternal optimist. I don't know. I feel like Royce is that guy that if there's a guy that can come back and spark a team, it's Royce Lewis.
What's your assessment, Trev, of the past couple of weeks now of Carlos too? Because like when you watch his at bats, his start was so bad that it takes a while, obviously, to dig out of that hole. He's still not great. I think it's improved a little bit, but like, as you watch his at bats and knowing what you know about his career, like, what are you seeing from him to tell you how close he might be? And I don't even mean to getting close to like 300. I mean like 250, 260, something like that.
I think it goes in spurts, and so there like some days look different, and I think that to me, and maybe you know better than I do, Dex. Like, it doesn't seem like he's completely like 100% healthy. So because it goes by kind of like day by day when I watch him swing. Sometimes it looks better than others, and I think that to me means some days he feels better than others. And I mean that makes sense. He's only. I have him older than 30. He's 30 years old. We know he's dealt with the foot stuff, but the feet seem okay.
Yeah, the feet are fine.
I think is there something else going on with him? Because it does seem like it's a day by day thing to me.
Yeah, it's definitely that wrist, man. Like I think watch him play the field. Which, by the way, sometimes like when I watch him play the field, I can live with some like, man, he's not good offensively right now. But you watch him play short, and you're like, oh my god, it's so silky smooth, and he can move, and he can do all these things, and has a hell of an arm. I think from the hitting side, that wrist that like has claimed has flared up before. To me, with my uneducated hitting pedigree, I think that wrist injury is really what's killing him. And I mean, the ball's being launched hard into the ground. His launch angle is significantly down. Even though he's had a lot of hard outs and atom balls, even the average exit velocity is down. To me, that screams something is wrong mechanically and something is wrong physically with his swing. And maybe he's trying to overcompensate for the wrist problems. The feet, which I know we're all just kind of holding our breath on, I don't think that's been an issue, knock on wood. I think it's the wrist that's preventing his swing from being obviously where it should be.
Yeah, that's it does seem, like I said, it seems a little bit different day by day, and that can be like a flare-up issue. So, Twins fans probably don't want to hear this. I mean, maybe there are times where he's got to take a breather and take a break. Maybe he's got to figure out a different medication, get on something that maybe he doesn't want to take. I mean, obviously your wrists are very important to your baseball swing. And yeah, you're right. Like, with any injury, you compensate for your wrists, and that creates a bad habit with maybe your other hand or your back elbow, or your shoulders start to fly because your bat speed isn't there. So you're a little early, which I saw from him early on in the season. I thought that's what he was doing. He was kind of like leaving a little bit. His hands weren't working in sync with the rest of his body. So it becomes difficult to answer your question. Like, what does he have to do? Yeah. Like, get healthy, but it becomes difficult dealing with that day by day and not having something creep into your mechanics that can, ill affect your swing.
And I do think it would be easier to appreciate his as Dex talked about, Trev, greatness at shortstop, because I mean that catch he made on Sunday going back towards Buxton,
my gosh,
that's phenomenal. But that being said, I understand fans' frustration because you then look at the contract, right? And it's like, okay, this is a lot for a really good defensive player. So, but if he could just reach a point where I think to what you're talking about, there's just more consistency. It doesn't have to be phenomenal, but more consistency. I think it would be easier to handle. But, it's very clear too, guys, a very big theme of the 2025 Twins is we're going to play guys. Like Buxton is playing a ton, and it's been great, by the way. I love it. But, Correa, hurt or not, is playing a ton. So this is definitely the year that with Rocco, the kid gloves came off. And I got to admit, I don't mind it. I think I like it more than, we're going to rest him for 2 days. And now we're going to, so that's a theme that began in spring training with guys actually playing in spring training and has carried over very much into May.
Yeah, it's kind of a catch-22. Carlos probably needs a breather here and there, but he's played in 34 or 35 games, which we like, obviously. But yeah, there's so many things you can do. You find yourself nursing injuries throughout the season, and there are tools to help you out. Whether he needs to get taped up or he can wear one of the neoprene wrist guards that has the strap, or there's just a lot of things that you can do, and you really have to experiment with those to make it through a season. I don't know if he's done any of that. I haven't been around the clubhouse yet. That's happening at the end of this year. So I can't really speak on if he is trying all these different things like in the training room, but you got to figure it out, and he knows that.
Yeah. I think a bright spot, though, Brooks Lee is finally starting to put things together a little bit here, too, which is great. Like, they've drafted a lot of these guys high overall, and Brooks Lee scuffled a bit last season, but now, putting together some really nice ABs. I actually think, Trev, and I don't know if I threw this at you last week. I think it might have been late last week with Mackey and Judd, but with their problems trying to find someone at the top of their lineup to be at least a semblance of a leadoff hitter, I know he doesn't have the speed necessarily. You got to load up on the best possible options that just put the ball in play and get on base. I actually wouldn't mind seeing Brooks Lee as a leadoff hitter. Switch, too, it kind of provides you some extra flexibility when the lineup turns over. He's putting together nice at-bats. He's playing solid third. Now, he might be going to second with Royce back, which is another conversation that we probably have to have. But he's finally putting things together a little bit here, and a core piece in general that you can finally rely on and say, oh, drafted this guy, 8th overall, and he's finally putting things together with his swing at the major league level.
Yeah, the walk rate is a lot better this year than it was last year. I agree with you. Like the at bats in general are better at bats. Yeah, I mean, I don't even know what a leadoff hitter is supposed to do anymore, to be honest with you. In Major League Baseball, I think everyone has a different idea of what it is. I think in my mind, a leadoff hitter, just has to give you a good at bat. He doesn't have to be necessarily that 380 OBP guy, although obviously that's nice. If he mixes in some pop and puts together good ABs and sees some pitches, I think that's kind of all you need to have. It needs to be one of your better hitters. It shouldn't be, the slappy fast guy anymore. I don't believe in that. It should be one of your better hitters. And the way I think, you should look at it is quality of at bats and how many pitches he sees. I could see that. I like this. I like the split, the switch hitting aspect of it as well.
Yeah. And he seems to be a bright kid. I feel like he came up, he scuffled, which is, not rare, right? But he's the son of a coach, and it feels like he assessed, like that's the thing about baseball, and leads me into the next guy I want to ask you about, and that's Julien. He just turned 26. He got sent down again. He didn't play after Friday when he overslid the bag and got tagged out on the steal. That was bad. It happens. But the hot shot that was hit to him at second base that he should have, it's a tough play, but he should have fielded it. He didn't. It scored 2 runs. What is your professional assessment of him? Like, again, he's 26, so he's not an old guy at all. He's been given chances. It feels like he's tried. Like, at what point in time do you decide it's not going to work? And at what point in time do you just continue to sort of pound your head against the wall in hopes that it does click?
I struggle with Julien, man, because I was one of his biggest supporters, watching him in his rookie season and just the way he handled the bat and the strike zone. And I liked his demeanor almost more than anything. I thought, dude, this guy, it's kind of like he had like that dog mentality where he felt like he was the best player on the field no matter what. He lost that. That's kind of like my biggest takeaway. I don't think he's ever going to be a great defender. I know he worked hard at second base. It's really not his calling card. And like that play to his left, he's got to stop that ball, and he didn't do that. But again, I don't think that's like what his strength is. You can get better defensively. You just got to really, really put the work in, but he's not going to get the reps if he can't figure it out offensively. And that to me is an enigma for him. I sometimes you watch him hit and you're like, what's going on here, man? Like, you have great bat to ball skills, but you're not really using them. He's like the anti-Jacob Wilson sometimes. Like you want the shortstop for the A's that just goes up there and swings at everything and puts the ball in play. Like, I think Julien could actually do that if he wanted to. Like, I think he has that bat control, but he gets passive sometimes. And then when he feels like he's being too passive, then he starts to expand the zone too much. So for me, it's like, get back to knowing the strike zone, which I think he can really do. And then get back to feeling like you're the best player on the field. And he's lost that, man.
It feels like he is at the point that you talked about a couple of shows ago where Morneau had the discussion with you about, like, they kept you, but this is your last chance. Like, it feels like he's at that point. Now, he didn't get kept now, but you watch him and you're right. His first year, and still at times there's some scrappiness that I absolutely love. And he definitely has a mindset that when it's right is great, but it also feels like it's teetering on the edge of, okay, it's just not going to work. And like, I don't know what the decision has to be there, but just to go back to that discussion that you had with Justin, it feels like we're at the very similar crossroads with him. Yeah,
because he's also saying, if everyone's healthy, where do I fit in? Mm-hmm. And that's not a good place to be in. And so then that adds pressure on top. Okay, now I have to be an all-star to be on this team. So he's probably thinking, man, like, maybe I need to get traded, or else I'm just going to be sitting here at AAA waiting for an injury to happen. And that's not a good place to be in, especially when you're struggling at the major league level. So like, you're like, hey man, who's going to trade for me? So all all these thoughts start to creep into your mind, and really the only remedy is just to like play better.
Yeah.
And that sounds stupid, but like he's just got to play better, and that solves everything. Like then teams will want him, and maybe he does get traded, or maybe he does find himself a regular in the lineup again. But it starts with just having that mentality. And how do you get to that mentality without having the success? It's difficult. So like you know, some people say, and there are guys that can kind of do it in the big leagues where, hey, they feel that way and it's going to be there no matter what. He had it, he lost it, because I believe it was his first time ever really struggling offensively in his life, was at the big league level. And you just got to find a way. Yeah. It's a tough one for me. I would love to sit down and have a conversation with him and just kind of see where his head's at. I'm sure they've done that, but he needs to get back to feeling like he's the baddest dude out there.
Yeah. I think his struggles start with he came up through the minors, dominated the minors, and had this very particular skill set where he didn't chase, and he had great bat-to-ball skills. He has a solid rookie year, and then, league has information on you, you get adjusted on, they start exposing your weaknesses, and then he, I think, became incredibly limited on how do I adjust to this? So then this year he comes in, and he's swinging more, he's chasing more. A lot of those outside-looking strike threes that he took last year were, I think, simply more than him just like not thinking it was a strike. It was, I don't know how to put a good bat-to-ball on that pitch. So now he's swinging more, he's chasing more. And that becomes this conundrum, I think, from a hitting side of, you've done everything a certain way your entire pro life, and now we're going to, pun intended, throw a curveball in to how to change your entire swing. I think that's tough. I would love for him, honestly, to just play as much at AAA, and I know there isn't a lot for him to prove statistically down there, but I think that approach, if he's tweaking things, he has to figure out a way to be consistent at the major league level, and I think that's changing some of his approach.
Well, his setup really hasn't changed, at least in my eyes. His setup prior to his swing really hasn't changed, and sometimes you got to go through something like that to get out of your head. I think he actually has pop too, which probably more than he's showing. Like, I'd actually like to see him stand a little bit straighter up and just be more of, when you do that, it's more like athletic. When you start to get kind of crouched down the way he is, you're kind of limiting your athleticism a little bit, and you can be better bat to ball, but you're going to limit some of your power and kind of like freeing of your hands. It kind of puts you in one spot. I like to see him do that, try that out. And then, like he has been swinging more this year, but you need to keep what got you there, which is your plate discipline, and then be more aggressive, to the meatballs, to the middle of the zone. Like that, those are the pitches you have to do it on. I don't know, man. He's got to try something different. Like I would suggest standing just a little bit more upright, maybe closing the stance a little bit. We can see it now on Baseball Savant. It's a really cool feature where everyone's feet are lining up. I think he needs to put his feet a little closer together, stand a little bit more upright, feel that athleticism, go through that, and kind of tinker around till you feel good again, man. Like one thing like that can change everything for you, the way you see the ball, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, I can track it a little bit longer because I'm more athletic and I feel quicker. Like, it's just, they need to start tinkering with him, because right now it's not working. I really do feel like he's lost some of his athleticism. The swing can get really like top spinny for me. So yeah, it's that time for him to make those adjustments.
Starting pitching has been excellent of late. And I would say this, if they can get any punch at all, like with Royce being back, when you look at the starters, Joe Ryan is last two. So I think he gave up 6 runs against the Braves in Atlanta a couple weeks ago, but he's been fantastic his past 2 starts. Over again, and they never should have started him. Just to be clear, the Kansas City start was his fault a year ago. That was his fault. He was terrible. The Cardinals start, like don't lump that in. The man was on like IVs a day before. I'm so tired of, he's terrible in Missouri in the first game of the year. No, he shouldn't have pitched. He should have been skipped. But anyway, long story short, the starting pitching has been really good. And that's a pretty good point to, if you are going to turn things around, Trev, and you're right, win series. that's a pretty good starting point if you can get some bats now unlocked, because I do think that is among the things, they got off to a bad start, but they've been, I think, terrific the last, 2 or 3 weeks at least.
They have been. No, there's no doubt about it. I mean, that's coming into the year, that was the expectation. And then, I guess a few starts got awry, and then Pablo goes down for a little bit. But for the most part, they've been healthy, and they've been dealing, and there's depth. Like, that is not the Twins' problem right now, and that's a good thing. And I wonder, like, do you end up dealing from a position of strength, and are they even at the point where you deal and go and get somebody, like, or do you deal and go get your prospects? Because I don't think they're there yet. We're like, hey, all we need is this, and we can go get this guy, and we can deal from our position of strength. I don't think they're there yet. So I'm curious, kind of what they end up doing, right? Like, you can't keep everybody throughout the year. I think Festa needs to be in the rotation at some point, but for what? Right? Like, what are you gonna?
And who gets traded?
And who gets traded?
Can you trade Paddock, which you wouldn't get much back for, but if that might be a good
I think
swap.
I think you could trade Paddock to a team like the A's, who kind of he's in a walk year, right? This is last year of money, so not going to cost a lot, not going to cost them prospects really either. I think they'd be interested in him.
Yeah, I'd even just pay it down. I'd pay someone down the salary. I don't get it. I want to see Festa and Zebby up here so much more than that. Actually, so I don't know if you saw this floating around yesterday, Trev. So Jim Bowden, former MLB GM, writes for The Athletic now too. He floated like 5 early trade proposals he wants to see happen like now instead of waiting until July. The first one he threw out was Joe Ryan to Baltimore. So Joe Ryan goes to the Birds. Birds give up Kobe Mayo, who I believe going into either this year or last year was like the number 2 prospect in baseball. He had a pretty rough debut last year. He was hitless in his first 28 at-bats or something, but insane pop. Should be one of the better players in baseball if he lives up to his potential. Plus Cade Povich, who, by the way, the Twins traded to the Orioles 3 years ago in the Jorge Lopez trade. And then another classic #slapdick prospect named Michael Forret. But Kobe Mayo would be the highlight there coming back for Joe Ryan. I wouldn't say I'm in love with this trade. I will say if I could get Kobe Mayo for Joe Ryan as like the highlight package of it, I'm intrigued. That's all I'll say. I'd rather have Joe Ryan, obviously, if I have World Series aspirations, and I think Joe would help some of the pitching wells there in Baltimore for sure. But Kobe Mayo, I'm intrigued by that. I am.
That's interesting. I love Joe so much, and you basically got him for free.
I know,
from the Rays.
Like, that was
deal.
A great
Falvey's
trade.
best trade, right?
Yeah, for
Kobe
as much
Mayo hasn't done it at the big league level. It's been well documented. Like, coming up to the Orioles, there's, he was going to be one of the guys that just hasn't worked out that way. Obviously, he's 23 years old right now. He can play first base.
It's huge.
I'm intrigued. I don't know, man. It's tough for me to give up on a guy like Joe Ryan, who has 2 more years of arbitration after this too. So he's cost controlled.
He's under control for like 3 more seasons.
It's just like, for what?
Right.
We have to have a plan here. It's not, you can't just deal guys because, hey, the Baltimore needs pitching and we got pitching. Like, what's it do for the Twins, I guess? If you think Kobe Mayo is going to be the answer at first base for the next 5 years or longer, I mean, maybe. But does that make you take Joe Ryan out of the equation, add Kobe Mayo? Does that make the Twins better? I don't know if it does.
Doesn't make them better right now. Like, I think the question is, though, like, can you start to stockpile prospects for 2026 and beyond? But I'll say this about, because, I mean, there are a lot of guys, if things continue to just not go great, there's a lot of guys to potentially shop. But my question becomes, when and how do you walk them up towards the deadline and create bidding wars? Because, like, the last thing, and this is not to compare Joe to Doncic, but the last thing that you want is a Luka trade where it's like, okay, we made our trade. It's like teams are like, well, what? You made your trade? Like, we would have gotten involved and given you more. So that's where I think Falvey finds himself in a really intriguing spot. Like, I could see guys, Duran, the Cubs are a World Series contender with a bad bullpen.
Phillies.
The Phillies, exactly.
Texas Rangers.
Yes. Mm-hmm. So, like, I mean, if you walk Duran into July and up to the deadline and throw him out there, I mean, you could clean up, I think.
Yeah, no, I don't even think you have to wait. I think teams are kind of ready to go. It's just, yeah, man. I feel like you're punting your season if you do that. I mean, you're not, because there are guys that can step up. Obviously, losing Durant will be tough. It's so early to talk trades, man. I hate it because the Twins do have so many guys that are coveted. You know, you can talk about the starting rotation, and you can definitely talk about that bullpen.
Do you see him making a run though, Trev? Like, I don't see this team being a real contender. Like, I mean, could they accidentally get a wild card? I don't know. I don't think so, but I wouldn't eliminate it. But
what's enough then? Like, my question always is, what's enough? Like, is getting into the playoffs enough? I think it is. Like, I don't care how you get there, wild card, and maybe you say, hey, we're not good enough to make it to the World Series, but why not? Yeah. Like, once you get into the playoffs, so that is kind of like the ultimate decision that front office had to make. Like, what's good enough for the fan base? I think getting to the playoffs would be great for the fan base, and knowing where we're at right now in attendance and interest in the Twins, like starting to trade would be entering a black hole, dude. So I don't think they can do it, even if it's the right thing for the future of the organization. You are going to lose people, man.
But you've already lost so many people.
Yeah, like, lost so many people with the TV
That's the
deal.
question. Like, if you say we think that we can make the playoffs, and then you go through another stretch like the start of the season, in some ways I feel it's worse.
Yeah.
Because then you don't have fans, and you're not at least attempting to maximize your assets. So, like, it's a sticky situation. But I mean, I think you have to be, at some point in time too, I think you do have to probably say it's time to bail. And if we're going to do that, who do we trade? Because it's not a slam dunk that Joe gets traded. You know,
I guess here's what we have to think about, because it's not always about on the field stuff. Like, what makes the team more valuable? Mm-hmm. Is it making the playoffs this year, or is it, hey, look at our farm system, and this is what we can become? I don't really know the answer to that, and that's probably where we should be focusing, because that's where these decisions actually lie.
And one answer to your question there, Trev, is this too: if you could do it, and he's got a no trade clause, but can you shed Carlos Correa?
I thought about that,
because that improved that. In my opinion,
that improved. The Astros? Didn't you say that last show?
I did. I said Houston. I said Houston as
playing third base.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Okay,
Mason,
yeah, I sort of like that idea.
Yeah. Hey, by the way, a shout out to our friends at Northern Soda who have just jumped on board on the Score North Twin Show. This is 1950s style craft soda, handcrafted with cane sugar, premium ingredients. You can find them here locally in Kowalski's, Lunds and Byerly's, Targets, Hy-Vee's, Cub. Hell, they even have the Twin Show root beer. That's right, the Twin Show root beer at Northern Soda. They have their own tap room in New Brighton. So if you love some soda, go check out Northern Soda. Go pick some up and tell them that the Score North Twin Show sent you. Also, a shout out to our friends at Grandpa's Barbecue too, who do a great job of making dry rubs, making sauces. They're great barbecue, man. Go to grandpasbarbecue.com to place an order now. Plus, all proceeds go to xeroderma pigmentosum, which is a rare genetic disorder that the family supports. It can be life-threatening when exposed to UV lights and sunlight. So go to grandpasbarbecue.com to get some great BBQ, plus help out a great cause. Yeah, I mean, what June 1st is kind of what I've been saying about, like, if you're gonna sell, June 1st, because that gives you a little bit more time here. Royce is back. You get now 3 weeks here with a runway of having more of a capable lineup, but June 1st is the one. And to be honest, I know Judd. I get what Judd's saying with creating the bidding war for players and not having a Luka and Anthony Davis swap situation. Baseball should lean in to not just waiting until the deadline to make the moves. Honestly, you should probably try to, like, I know Arise got traded like a year ago, like today, I think, actually. I want baseball to be more proactive in that trade deadline stuff. So start the steam, man. Go ahead. Do it.
I agree. I think if you're a team that's one person away from, where you think you need to be, especially if you're in the National League this year, I think you have to make a move as soon as possible. The league is too good. There's only 6 spots. Yep. American League, you might be able to get away with waiting around and seeing kind of where you're at, because there aren't 6 really good teams in the American League. There just aren't. In the National League, I would assume that teams are going to be a little bit, they're going to try to go a little earlier than normal years.
I am all for trades, just to be very, very clear here. I just, if I'm the Twins, I want to create as much return as possible. But yeah, I'm with Dex. I love the idea of trades now. It's as a fan, more fun. But if you're Falvey and you're going to shop your big tickets, it is incumbent on you to create as much of a market as possible. And I mean, heck, you could do it in June. Like that's possible.
I think guys like Duran or Jax, if they were like, hey, we're going to trade these guys, that's all they would have to do. They wouldn't. They don't have to do anything else. They're proven, true, great relievers that could help any team.
So what you're saying is the Twins should trade their stars to the National League, Trev, because that's where the money is, like the talent is. That's where the good teams are.
If you're going to trade them for slapdick prospects, you better go to the good ones, okay? The Cubs have a lot of good ones, apparently. Yep. So
the American League is just not inspiring.
Make that happen.
The Cubs got PCA from freaking the Mets.
Well, I remember that draft because PCA's mom was in Little Big League, right?
Yeah.
Or one of those. I remember that draft, and that kid was a stud prospect. And how about for Javi Baez, Trev?
I was going to say it was for Javi Baez, wasn't it? Javi Baez is playing great this year.
He is playing third now, right?
It's like center.
Yeah, he's playing some outfield. He's not playing short anymore.
He's done a little bit of everything, and he's a huge reason. Like him, Spencer Torkelson, and Zach McKinstry, guys that had been horrible last year, all of a sudden are the best hitters in baseball. So it is what it is.
Torkelson, when we did that event at the Saints game, and they played, I think it was Toledo.
Yeah.
Torkelson was playing at CHS Field. He was so bad, he was playing in AAA.
Yeah. When I threw my that was the highlight. It was my rainbow for first pitch, and Spencer Torkelson batting cleanup for the Mud Hens on a July day at CHS Field.
And both of you said, "What are we doing here?"
You guys need to go.
Like, why am I?
You ever been to Toledo? You need to make your way out there. Okay?
I have not been to Toledo. No, I have not. Been
Hold on a second. A year in Toledo or Beloit? Which one, Coach Trev?
Oh, Beloit, because Madison's right there.
Okay.
Yeah, good call.
Madison's
how about this then? Beloit, Toledo, or Long Beach?
Long Beach.
Long Beach.
The place he told you not to go.
I love it. Hey, hit the like button and subscribe button. Probably a little bit lesser content, obviously, from Target Field this week with me avoiding Long Beach and being near San Diego for the next few days. But hit the like button and subscribe button here in the Score North Twin Show. Appreciate you guys. That's Coach Trev. We'll be talking at you soon.